So thank you so much, Oberi, for the presentation. It's a pleasure to meet you all, unfortunately online. I hope to meet some of you in person one day. As mentioned, by Oberi, I'm Sara Sechi, and I work for Don Bosco International as Executive Secretary. And Don Bosco International is the organization that represents the Salesians of Don Bosco before the European institutions. So we work on advocacy. Who does know what advocacy is? Who is a bit of concept of it? Some? None? Okay, perfect. So I know how to do my speech. So what we do is basically, we can say in some countries there is a big distinction between advocacy and lobbying. Lobbying sometimes is related with something that it's focused on, like the private sector. So we defend basically the mission of enterprise to make more profits. Advocacy is more focused on values. So it's like what we do, we promote the mission of Don Bosco before the institution and the policymakers, with the aim of bringing a bit like the values of the Salesians inside the European policy. So I have like a presentation, but my first one is, I realize now, it's in Italian. So then I will send you like a translated version of English. But because, as you will see, we change a bit our team. We have a new team, so it's like for now it's in Italian. So how is TBI more or less as an organization placed inside the Salesian congregation? TBI is part of the Youth Ministry Department. I think here you are a bit Salesian with you are a bit familiar with the Salesian world. All the local provinces of the Salesians, they refer to a general council that is guided by Director Major, that now is Father Fabio Attar, that is based in Rome. I don't know if during these days you had the chance to visit in Sacro Cuore, that is the general house, and is where like Don Rafael Beccarano, that is General Councilor for Youth Ministry Department, is based, and is our boss and president, our guide. This is our team. Okay, so now you see the team.
Fantastic, thank you for the
No problem. We are quite many. I don't know if the people from Austria, they know the Peter Linderer. Is also part of our team now. I know that he's very engaged with the youth in Austria from Don Bosco. So as I was mentioning, like the congregation has two offices of representation. One is TBI, that is based in Brussels because maintaining the dialogue with the European institutions. And the other one is called Salesian Missions, and is based in New York, and it advocates for the Salesian at UN level. And the matter that you see here in the bottom of the right part is the Salesian that represent them. So what we do, I'm still sorry for the Italian version, is like basically we have the aim of promoting the Salesian mission through networking, advocacy, and capacity building. So it's like networking, like you know better than me, it's very important to establish contact in the same field of work, because in this way we can reinforce our action and our voice towards the policymakers. Advocacy, for example, is an action or is a strategy that is always implemented together with other organizations. And so it's also nice to work in this field because you don't really have like the big hostile competition, I would say. It's much more like a cooperative environment. And then capacity building are all these actions that we put together with other colleagues, with other organizations, and each one gives their own expertise then to build a project or other advocacy things. Then we see what. And the action is like in double direction. So it's from us bringing the voice of Don Bosco and the voice of young people, because they are at the core of the mission towards the policymakers, but then also bringing the European values, project, opportunities inside the congregation. And we do this like inside towards the Don Bosco partners, sharing information, organizing like awareness raising events on specific topic. For example, we were quite active in the field of migration or youth participation and capacity building. And towards the EU institution or agencies, we promoted a participation, and we are also involved in some European projects, as the one, for example, you are attending now. We sign or submit some statements, that there are some documents in which we promote a clear position towards a specific policy or towards a specific proposal that the Commission, for example, that is the legislative institute that makes some proposition at the legislative level does. We organize activities and events with other organizations, and we establish this network with other alliances that they work on social inclusion, youth rights, children's rights, migration, integral ecology, and so on. As you can see, like, we have a priority plan that is based on three main goals: poverty and social inclusion, school to work transition, where we explore all the area of education, vocational training. As you know, the Salesian, they have like a global network of vocational training education centers, and all the policy related also to the job market, especially with a focus on young people. And then human integral development, where we place a bit of integral ecology. Sustainability issues are a big topic also, and especially for young people, that they are the most vocal, I will say, as a target group in this field. The SDGs Agenda 2030, and then the youth participation. So now, yes, it's like you will see like a series of pictures of some meetings, events that we organized with the European institution. For example, in this case, how do we bring like the voice of the young people at the institutional level? Sometimes bringing them like directly there in the institutions. And this was the case of, I don't know if it was like 2019 or 18, where a Don Bosco NGOs that is called Salesian Mission realized a documentary about a Salesian social work in Colombia to reintegrate ex-soldiers. And one of the two protagonists came to Brussels. They presented the documentary and had some meetings with also high-profile people like Federica Mogherini. At the time was the High Representative of the EU, so the highest diplomat figure. Here we have Father Antoine, Renato, and someone from Italy as well, that they were tutoring some youngsters and children. They were still minor in one of the high-level conference like promoted by France, the presidency of France of the Council of the European Union. In Paris, where the children, they had the possibility to express their point of view on specific policy, especially on the fight against child poverty. That it's a phenomenon that it's quite raising in Europe nowadays. So like we promote and we strategize advocacy in a way that is always like a bottom-up approach. It's like we look at what the Salesians are doing in the field. We try to get like the stories, the testimonies, the demands of the people that are involved in different projects or schools or youth centers, and then we implement an action that can be brought at the institutions. The institution we work with the most, they are the European Commission, especially the departments that deal with education, vocational training, migration, so DG Home, and environment a little bit, I will say. Then we have the European Parliament, where we try to establish some direct contact with the members of the European Parliament, especially now that they started the new legislation process like after the summer of last year. They are still like, and we have a lot of new members of the Parliament, and they are still like eager, to meet civil society organization, NGO, to establish, to listen, and maybe to organize future events together. The Council that is the third, I would say, institution involved in the legislative process at the EU level. It's a bit more difficult to work with from an NGO perspective because, like member states, they play a big role there. So it's, I would say, from Brussels, it will be nice, very nice in the future, maybe to coordinate an action that involve the local Don Bosco organization in each like national member states. So you could see that like also your Don Bosco organization in your country somehow can play a role in the legislative process, even at the EU level. And then we have the agencies, the FRA, European Agency for Fundamental Rights, the Agency for Asylum, EUAA, the Council of Europe. We attending some like seminars, conference sometimes, but we have like a lighter advocacy towards them for now. And then we are part of the European Alliance for Apprenticeship and Park for Skills, so that there are some platforms initiative by DG Employment of the European Commission, in which you have many stakeholders, companies, and organizations related to vocational education and training. I don't know if you know some of these logos. Do you know any? Maybe the European Youth Forum for some of you. These are the organizations we usually work the most with, especially Eurochild and the Alliance for Investing in Children. We really tackle the thematic of European Child Guarantee, that is a policy that guarantees more inclusion and more support for a very vulnerable group of minors, of children, and try to contribute with some funds at a national level. Youth Forum, of course, is always present when we receive a group of young people in Brussels. Here, I know I have to change some logos, especially Salesian Imprese Sociale. They are the Don Bosco partner we work with, and they are just not all of them. And yes, this I was like skipping for now. So DPI has basically two phases, or like we interact with the institutions, both like with like the face of an NGO. So we are part of the civil society organization, but we are also a faith-based organization because we represent a Catholic congregation. So it's very interesting in the work to see how you can structure this kind of advocacy mission in a kind of tool that sometimes touch themselves, sometimes they are very particular themselves. So that the civil society one with the lay organization and so on, and then the one with faith-based and Catholic one. So not all the organization we work with, they are Catholic. Sometimes they also involve other professions or other Christian organizations. And with them, for example, we have a group on migration we work a lot with, and we are going to release, for example, a statement like very soon. So if you are curious of what a statement is, you can have like a reading quite soon. Then we organize meeting for the Don Bosco delegation when they come to Brussels. We attend international events promoted by the institutions or other big partners. We, like in 2000, like 2 years ago now, we promoted another documentary that was focused on the social program of the Salesian they have in Dominican Republic addressing child labor. So one of the protagonists came, we had different meetings with the institution, and one of the results was, for example, that on the same month, some member of the parliament were flying to Santo Domingo, so they contact us because they wanted to meet not only the Salesian, but the other children that were part of this group, and this happened. We managed in the end to organize a meeting with them, for them. So 5 members of the parliament went to the Salesian Center in Santo Domingo. And we organize, usually we take the occasion of Don Bosco Feast, that I think you also celebrate in different forms. Here in Brussels, we usually receive someone from Rome, from the General Council. Here you can see when Don Rafael came. He was not at the time a councillor. And we organized several meetings, both like diplomatic level, it's like with ambassador, or like the Catholic also, they have the nunciature before the EU. So it's like the ambassador of the Pope before the EU. And in this occasion, last year, we organized an event with a young refugee. We were working with the Via Don Bosco, is an NGO based in Belgium, and the Salesian of the Belgian province, North. And we collect the story of Faramand, these young refugees that arrive in Belgium, like through the, we will say, unfortunately, typical way by foot from Afghanistan to Belgium. And we collect his story in these documents you can read in English, French, and Dutch, where he really collects the recommendation he had for the institution, and then we send it out to European and Belgium national governments and the cabinet of the king and so on. We had like good replies on that. It was very nice it's always nice to work with young people, and this you see some of the groups, you see also like some of the colleagues you know very well coming to Brussels, bringing the youngsters, and then we organize with them some meetings also with youth organization based in Brussels to explore more opportunities and so on. Of course, like for the Don Bosco mission and Don Bosco core action, we provide youth rights and youth empowerment, especially for the one that they are coming from the most vulnerable groups, to build a project in life in which they are protagonists. And this mission is strictly linked with a dimension of citizenship. We see the strand now of 2022, good Christian and honest citizens, and we try to also bring this dimension or to promote it among youngsters at the also European level. As you know, it's very important to maintain like the democracy healthy and active. So in the occasion of the election last year, also with the Don Bosco Youth Net, we published with a Commerce Youth platform. It's a platform of Youth Catholic Organization, a guideline for the elections. We have some guidelines for visiting Brussels that is useful for youth Don Bosco organization spread in Europe. So if you want also in the future to organize a visit in Brussels, you have some guidelines where you have all information. So here is just like you will have some information about the EU. EU is still a political and economic union composed of 27 members that has the aim to promote peace, stability, and prosperity in Europe. Then you will see the role of the institutions, as we saw before, like the main players, they are the Commission, the Parliament, and the Council. And it's like these are some values related, Don Bosco values related to the mission of the EU. So a lot of Don Bosco values can be brought in the field of education, and there are many opportunities towards some programs like Erasmus Plus, the SERV that offers opportunity of study and formation and volunteering for young people. There is all the policy about social inclusion, the European Social Fund, for example, the European Child Guarantee is what we try to promote, especially now that we are in the process of defining a new, it's called multi-financial framework, so the new budget of the EU for the next 7 years. So our role is to make sure that the proposal still reflects a social dimension that is strong also in investments for the next legislative 2 mandates, and then all the sphere related to human rights and dignity. Yes, for example, this is an example about the European Pillar of Social Rights, and you see our Don Bosco values in many of them, the action, and these are more or less the program. I don't know if you know all of them, but I'm sure that also maybe during these days you have the possibility to discover some of them and to talk about this experience. I really suggest you because you still are young, and maybe you are still in the process also like to build your curriculum. So you're doing already very well with this experience in Rome. Is something that you can already show for your then personal and professional project of the future. But for sure, like taking part in Erasmus Plus, taking part in the European Solidarity Corps, for example. And this is a program that is sometimes very underestimated or not really well known, but that really is inclusive because it's open to all citizens of the EU and partner countries between 18 and 30 years old. You have mostly like volunteering experience, short and long, but they are like in the end of your volunteering, you will have an experience that is between volunteering and work. And it's really, really appreciated, both like from university and then after from employers, I would say. And for example, I used that to go to France because I really needed to learn French, or at least to learn the language at the level that I could work with. So you are financed to spend a year abroad. And then we have the discovery of the EU for the 18 years old. So if you have brothers, sisters, or youngsters, please like promote these opportunities because they will have like maybe the opportunity to win a rail pass to visit European countries. Nowadays, one of the big initiatives of the Commission is the EU Youth Dialogue. So if you go to the European Youth Portal, you can register and maybe end up in one of these EU dialogue in which you dialogue with some of the commissioners, that they are kind of the ministries of the European Commission on specific topic, and you can bring the voice of like your needs or the needs of the youngsters you are used to live and experience with. And then we have these European youth events. I attended the last one, and I would really suggest like that we organize a small like youth delegation for the next in 2 years. It's a very it's a kind of like festival, big youth events organized at the European Parliament in Strasbourg, and there are so many topics related to youth rights and the EU, and you really meet like members of the parliaments, the commissioners, and many other policymakers that are involved in this process. So I really suggest you keep an eye on this. It's always like all the news, they are really focused and they are really shared through the European Youth Portal. So I suggest you register if you are interested, maybe in some future opportunities to see what is possible. And then we always, of course, stay at your disposal if you have questions. And if you would like to live maybe an experience here in Brussels at one point. So voila, this was a small presentation of our work. Do you have any questions or curiosity? For example, who has the idea in the future of maybe going to Brussels for an internship, or he's studying these fields of international relationship, or maybe you're even studying like social works and so on, and there are many organizations that work in this field that you would say, yes, I would like to have like an internship and experience there. It's one of the, I mean, if you have done it, or if you know people who have done it, it's like, yeah, it's like your first Erasmus experience where you are studying maybe at university, something that really can change your life. And there is a version before this of you, and then another, and it's like give you so many skills for then like future opportunities in both like NGOs, but also like companies. I think that now, especially the job market, or at least is what like the EU is really focusing on, is to acquire like many transversal and soft skills. So usually it's always an advantage of our youth groups that they are already involved like in the oratories or in this kind of summer camp activities and so on, because there, like especially dealing with children or with other young people, you are forced to work in teams. You develop already, like, I don't know if you are really aware of it, but I'm sure you do, and you acquire so many skills that then are really, really appreciated and valued, but who is going to offer you a job in the future. it's like, as we are the official representation of the congregation, we are open to receive all like the Don Bosco entities request. Or like, so if you have like a youth organization that is really engaged in a topic and you see that there are some like legislative moments that are very important, I mean, something is going to be discussed, for example, for youth. Now we are still in the process of discussing the directive for a ban unpaid internship. That is one of the big campaigns from the European Youth Forum. Or like other activities that maybe they are organizing in Brussels, we are always open to receive the request. And then what I do is like I bring this request to the youth ministry department. So basically now to Father Raphael. And if we see rooms for implementing an action, we will do it. So it's like, see Don Bosco International like as the service. It's a kind of service that we are trying to provide to the congregation in Brussels and with the institutions. So we are here to also listen, sometimes. And it's like what we should implement the most, like especially listen to our young people and how do they see Europe. I don't know, like you are now from different countries. These kind of activities are very, very nice because sometimes I realize that you have an imaging of Europe or perception that is completely different from one another. Thank you for organizing.